Hi, I'm Hairi.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome to our very first chit chat session where we're going to bora about all things UrbanWave.
And also, you are in Ketupat House. If you've been following us, you know this is our pride and joy, our baby from start. So,
Yes.
we're gonna dive in and let's just get straight into it, shall we?
Jom.
So, Sarah, you know I'm still new, right? I just joined the company and I love working in this company. But you know what? A lot of my families and my friends be asking, what do we do and how does it work and stuff like that. Would you mind sharing how does it work and what are we actually, so that people know what we are doing and like what we can help them, stuff like that?
Right. So, UrbanWave is a home co-ownership program where we help folks who want to buy and upcycle landed houses in the neighborhoods that they belong to. So, we help them unlock prime areas, get the upfront cash they need for the renovation works, and in the long term, we profit share when they decide to sell the house.
You know what? I can totally relate to that, you know. I mean, like, UrbanWave can help me a lot in that.
I mean, you know how we help people who are starting out,
Yeah.
like yourself. You just started working. What is your? Do you have any home buying plans? Like, what is your future looking like?
I mean, definitely, of course, I'm still new to this working world, right? So eventually, I'll have to buy a house, right? Because like my planning is that I'm going to get married soon, and of course, I want to have a house where my future wife and me can live happily ever after, right? Of course, that's a dream, right? Yeah. So, but in this era, it's very difficult to buy a house because it's very expensive and of course, the renovation takes a lot of money. You have to dump a lot of money. You have to save up, and worst case scenario, you have to pinjam your family or even a bank. So I don't want to do that. So that's why when I heard about UrbanWave, it hits me at my sweet spot that this is something that can relate to me and something that it will be good to society. Yeah. What about you?
Can definitely resonate with that as well. So I've told you before, I've got 2 kids, I'm married, and I'm someone who has been growing up in PJ my whole life. My parents are there, I have my cousins, my aunts, and we all have kids already. And basically, I spend my weekends with my friends as well. I can't imagine living anywhere else but PJ, you know? And I currently right now live in a condo. So it was great starting out when it was just me and my husband. But now when we have kids and they're like running around, I start to feel like we need more space. And our own personal preference is to find a landed house because I want a garden. I want, like a place where we can have barbecues.
That is so nice.
Yeah, that's the dream, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But where do you go if you want to live in PJ and find a landed house? Because there are no new developments here. Comes really rarely. Most likely, you're looking at a sub-sale house if you want landed, right?
Yep.
And I found that it was extremely difficult because with any house that you buy, you need a down payment, you need your savings and everything. But a sub-sale landed house needs even more upfront cash because you need to renovate it first. Especially if you're planning to buy something that, normally in PJ is like at least 30, 40 years old and they need substantial work. Me and my husband, we have a dream of buying like a cozy little place, charming original conditions with all these nice elements that they don't have anymore in new houses. And we want to do it out because these houses have so much character to them. But like I said you are spending so many years saving for a down payment. Usually you need like 10% of the house price in cash. You don't have much left to renovate the house. And I think a lot of people find it impossible even if you don't have that liquid cash. And yeah, that's my predicament.
I mean, like, for me, right? Of course, like for my generation, right? What I've been told is that if you want to buy a house, you can buy a house with a cheaper price. It's just that it's very far away from everything. Like maybe I'm not saying that it's not a bad thing, but Well, depends on how you take it, right? But when you live far away, and for example, like you live in Seremban, which is much more cheaper price for the house, right? But you work in KL, you commute 1 to 2 hours every day, and then you
Yeah.
double because you go back and forth, right? So it doesn't really make any sense. Of course, you get a cheaper house, but for you to like spending so much of your time like driving and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I don't think it's very convenient, right?
I mean, personally, for me, the reason why I want to still live in PJ is because I know and I trust all the amenities I have here. You know, the hospitals that I go to and the schools that I'm planning to put my kids in, because I know these schools myself. And my support system is all here. So that's the reason why I feel like for me, I can't live as far as, like you said, Seremban, Nilai, those sort of places when I am working in PJ and KL, because my husband also works in KL, I work in PJ. So it's, yeah, for me, I'm not the kind of person who wants to be stuck in traffic every day. If my kids get sick and they're at home, I need to be able to like quickly pick them up and send them to my parents if I need help, or send them home. I need things to be within arm's reach, you know? And also, like, when I think about weekends, right? Where do we go? What do we usually? How do I usually spend my weekends? I like to be with my parents, the in-laws, my friends' house, or KL, PJ. There's always something exciting happening for the whole family. I want to bring my kids out. It's a bit difficult if I'm living in a place that I am not familiar with, or that I have to wait for like a new township to sort of establish itself. And I think you understand what I mean, right? Because you live like in the heart of KL. You live in Gombak, right? And you are a proper KL guy, like you've told me before. And us, right? People who have lived in this sort of setting, I think we are so spoiled for choice, because like MRT, LRT is like walking distance. We can hop on, we can go anywhere we want, So traffic is not really like, we don't want to be bogged down by traffic, we want to be flexible.
Now that you mentioned it, I just remember that since I live in Gombak, right? So it's very convenient for me to go to work. I can drive, or even I can take MRT as well, because it's very like within the area and stuff like that. So I have a choice. But let's say if you live in Seremban, no, you have to drive. You don't have any choice of public transport, right? So that's the thing that really struck me, that I love to be in this neighborhood, and what can I do if they don't have any like new development house? And like you can just buy a subsale house, and then you have to fork out a lot of money.
I mean, new developments will come and go, right? Even in the neighborhoods that we want. But most likely, if you want to buy a brand new house, you have to be realistic. It's most probably going to be a high rise.
Of course.
And high rise has its perks, it has its security, it has its facilities, but you are limited to, you are also limited also lah, right? You don't really have land of your own. The appreciation for property as well is something that I think people need to look into, For me, of course, my priority is to find a house for my family, but I also want a fallback to having an asset that will reward me in the long term. As much as it is mainly for my own use, I'm also looking into how I can build my wealth. And if it's something that if I'm going to spend this much money on a commitment this big, I want to make sure that it's a house in a good location, and that if I ever need to sort of sell it in the future, I know that I've made a good decision on buying somewhere that will appreciate. So that's something that I think a lot of younger people should be aware of.
Exactly.
We don't really have access to it. There are a lot of information out there, but where do we go, right? And how do we make this decision, basically? If you're not like a property expert, or you don't know where to invest in per se. That's where actually UrbanWave also has an advantage.
Oh, can you tell me more about that? What do you mean by advantage?
So our company, UrbanWave, we have a parent company called UrbanMetry. And UrbanMetry is a big data analytics company. What we do is that we clean and harvest data for the likes of a lot of developers, banks, and commercial sectors and private sectors, government sectors as well. And we provide this data for them to make better decisions in city planning and land development, those sort of things. And it's always been a B2B, a business-to-business model. We've been around for a good 10 years. But now, with the data and resources that we have, we've decided to actually start engaging with consumers themselves. So we want to talk to home buyers or aspiring home buyers, especially people like us, younger people who are going to are looking to settle down, finding a house, to people who are just starting out a family. For people who don't know where to invest in or put their money in, which houses to buy, what better way than to make that decision by partnering with a data company, right? And that's where we put our data and our resources to good use. So like how to do you know the mechanics of how we work, Irene?
A lot of my friends and my family as well, they be asking like how does it work and stuff like that. So we establish on what is UrbanWave and where does it come from and how does it work and stuff like that. No, where does it come from and stuff like that, right? But they don't really see how it works and also how it will help them. Would you mind sharing a bit more on that?
Can. Yeah. So, okay, to make it as simple to understand as possible, we've broken it down to 3 simple steps with UrbanWave. First, you buy. So the first part is obviously finding the house to buy together.
Yeah.
All right. So like I said, it needs to be freehold, landed house, at least 15 years old, priced at 500K to 1.5 million. And then once it meets all that, we will go through our proprietary AI price checker called Nowcast. So if everything is good to go and you like the house, you have your down payment ready, we book the house and we go through the entire process together. So one important thing to understand here is that the homeowner is solely liable for the loan of the house. So we assist you in getting that home loan, but you are responsible for the monthly commitment.
Oh, meaning to say that, okay, the house owner will apply for the loan and they will be paying the loan 100% lah. Okay, understand.
So the co-ownership happens because we are giving the upfront cash that the homeowner needs to upcycle the house. It is liquid cash that a lot of people don't have. Yeah.
Understand. Oh, okay. So to make a simple process, right? So homeowner will apply for the loan solely on them. They will be paying 100%, right? And then with co-ownership, so UrbanWave comes in hand.
You sort of top up lah for the renovation money. Okay,
understand.
your savings you use for your down payment as usual, as you would for a normal house. But because you don't have that money to renovate, that's when UrbanWave comes in. So we give you the money in exchange for holding a minority share of the house. So we actually sign the SPA together, and there's also a contract between the homeowner and UrbanWave called the Joint Ownership Agreement. So that outlines all the terms and conditions lah.
So for the reno cash that you gave, right? So will it be adding the monthly commitment?
No.
Right.
The money that we give is not a loan. Right.
Understand.
So there's no repayment onto us. We are holding a portion of the house on paper.
That's why you do co-ownership. Is that
right.
You give you the money?
Yeah.
So we don't have to pay you, but you hold
you
money
are only paying for the house itself on home loan to the bank.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And we hold a bit of the house because we gave you money for the renovation.
Okay.
So that goes on to the second part where you get to renovate the house. So even though we are sharing the house on paper, UrbanWave actually relinquishes the usage rights to the homeowner. You have full usage rights of the house, which means you can stay in it. If you decide to rent it out, pun boleh. And also we don't limit you to how you want to renovate the house. As long as everything is done legally, you get your proper BP approval or kerja-kerja kecil or whatever permit that you require from the local authorities, you're free to paint the house pink for all we care. Right?
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want with the house. We're not going to dictate how you renovate the house.
What about contractor?
Contractor is also up to you. So we don't want you to feel obligated to use any panel architects or contractors that we have. But if you want, we can recommend the people that we have worked with. We've worked with a lot of good people, and we'd be more than happy to connect you with them as well.
That'll be easier for house owner, right?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
We give a lot of guidance, even like before you buy the house and renovate. We give you some, ballpark figures, things like that if you need to. So it's beyond buying the house that you have all these advantages by partnering with UrbanWave. And like I said, you are free to use the house however you want, provided you're not doing any illegal naughty things in there. So no brothels, drug dens, gambling dens. You cannot do all those things lah.
Yeah, of course, ownership, right?
Yeah, because if you do anything illegal, it implicates us as well.
Yeah.
That being said, if you decide to rent out the house, you pocket the entire rental income. So we're not sharing that either. The only time we make a shared profit is, and this is the last step of the 3-step
The buy, renew, and sell.
Yes.
Oh, this is the sell one lah.
Correct. So when and if and when you decide to sell the house, that's when we make a shared profit. So based on the percentages that we respectively hold, the net profit that we make of selling the house is what we will split respectively. So a few caveats there. Obviously, you cannot sell the house for $1 to your brother.
Of course.
You cannot shortchange us. So in the joint ownership agreement, we've already listed down how you need to sell it, at what price and all. We agree on that really early on already. And at the end of the day, it is completely your initiation to sell. UrbanWave cannot come and knock on your door in 10 years and say, oh, your house has doubled in price, so we are forcing you to sell. You have to move out. That's never going to happen. So you as a homeowner, because you are the majority shareholder here, you decide whether you want to sell the house or not.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so we established all the things that people need to know about UrbanWave, right? So one last thing that is very important actually to people is actually what are the terms and conditions of buying a house with UrbanWave? Of course, the one that you explained earlier, right? It's very nice. It's very okay, I can benefit and stuff like that. Of course, there's something I need to give out. So what is it actually? What are the terms and conditions?
All right. So obviously we go through the detailed terms and conditions when we are drafting out the JOA, the Joint Ownership Agreement, right? But I can list down the fundamental ones so that people understand the mechanics of how we co-own a house. A lot of people ask, how much cash can I take and how much percentage of the house you would hold? So it depends on how much you want to take. You can take up to 20% of the house price in cash from us. So let's say we found a house together and we check it's all eligible, you love it, it's selling for 1 million. So we decide to buy it together, you like it, you have the down payment. Okay, we buy the house at 1 million. Then you decide up to 20% how much you want to take. So say you want to take a full 20%, you can get up to 200,000 ringgit in cash from us. And if you take the maximum of 20%, then UrbanWave will hold the maximum of 40% of the house. So it is a 1-to-2 ratio. If you go as little as taking 10%, only 100K for your renovation, then UrbanWave will only hold 20%. So the reason we have this ratio is because the homeowner is solely liable for the home loan. So on UrbanWave's part, there's a risk involved.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's the mechanics there. So we give you money on top of it, which is not a loan, there's no repayment, and we hold, if you take 20, we hold 40%. And then in the long run, after you've renovated the house, it's all great, you're living in it, say in year 10, and by the way, we lock you in for the first 5 years.
Why?
So the first 5 years, you're not allowed to sell or exit the co-ownership because we want to avoid high RPGT tax.
Oh, RPGT.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
So after 5 years, you're free to, let's say you want to sell the house then, you can, or you want to stay on. Say you stay on until year 10, and then you find that the house is doubled in price because you're buying at such a great location. And we approve of that from the early beginning. We know that it's primed to appreciate, and you've improved the house. And most importantly, you as a home buyer, you're staying in the house. You are the one bringing value to this, actually. And in year 10, maybe you have more kids, that you've got kids already, and you feel like, okay lah, maybe an intermediate house of this size is getting a bit too small for you.
Yeah.
And you've earned more as well, so you have a bit more buying power. You feel like it's a good time for an upgrade. If you decide to sell this house, and because it's doubled in price already, you're already making money. And that is where we come and make that shared profit lah. So you sell the house at an agreed price based on our JOA from the very beginning, according to which year. And if you still have any loans to the bank, they will minus the redemption sum. What is left, that net profit, is what the homeowner and UrbanWave will split. So if we hold 40%, then we get 40% of the net profit.
And the house owner gets 60%.
Correct.
Oh, okay. I understand that. It's very clear.
Yeah, so it's a win-win situation for both parties.
Yeah, I understand.
So I'm sure you have a lot to go back to your friends and family about, right? Now that things are a lot more clear, and you can explain to them, like we do with a lot of people who come to us. And we find that a lot of people have questions.
Of course. They tend to get very curious out of things,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, of course, yeah.
But like I mentioned, if you have found a house that you are contemplating to buy, don't wait any longer. Quickly give us a call, all right? Because you do not want someone else to snatch up that house of yours. You akan patah hati.
Of course, sedih. So, if you have any question, don't forget to drop in the comment or slide into our DM, and we'll be answering your question in the next session.
Thanks for watching. See you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, let's do an FAQ rapid fire.
Oh, that'd be nice actually. Yeah, you got an idea.
Can do that.